if-else statement is when a decision between two actions needs to be made. Take a look at this example. In this example, we're going to use some M&Ms. They're colorful, and boy, are they good. So we'll go ahead and dump those out, and we're going to take a look at some if statements. In this particular example, I have a statement that says, if the candy is green, put it in the circle. So we'll put the candy here next to the circle, and we'll start sorting. If the candy is green, put it in the circle. So only the green ones go in the circle. In this particular example, we're going to add the else portion. If the candy is red or blue, put it in the circle. Else, put the candy in the square. So here's a random selection of candy colors. Let's sort them out. If the candy is red or blue, put it in the circle. Else, put the candy in the square. So the greens, the browns, the oranges, the yellows all go in the square. Red and blue are the only ones that go in the circle. We'll speed this up a little bit, and there we have it. If the candy is red or blue, it's in the circle, else the candy is in the square. Now, in code.org, they start you off with using just a block that says if. Okay. We're going to work through that block a little bit, and then we'll see what the if-else block does. Now, if you look at my puzzle here in Lesson 11, Activity number 3, I start off with the B, and I have these question marks right here where I don't know what's under them. So the first thing I need to do, though, is I need to get my B to those question marks, and I'm going to do that with just a simple algorithm of move forward, and then turn right. Okay. Now, my B, once he turns right, is going to move forward and is going to be standing on top of this question mark, and that's where this if block comes into play. If I'm at a flower, what do I want the bee to do? Well, if I'm at a flower, I want to get the nectar from the flower. So I have to put an action inside of that block. Now, because I'm going to do that 2 times, because there are 2 question marks here, I'm going to repeat move forward, if at a flower, do the get nectar. And I'm going to put a repeat in there for 2 times. And I'll step through my program so you can see how it works. So I move forward, I turn right, and now I'm going to repeat this sequence of move forward, if at a flower, do the action, get nectar. And he picks up that nectar. Repeat it again, move forward, if at a flower, do the get nectar action. In puzzle number 4, they give me this whole row where I don't know what's under them. And just like I did in puzzle number 3, I'm going to put in a combination of move forward, if at a flower, then do the action, get nectar. And how many times do I do that? Well, if I look here, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times that my bee is going to do this action. So I put everything into a repeat 7 times block. And I can run that, and then every time my bee comes across a flower, then of course it will go and pick it up. In puzzle number 5, it is exactly like what you did in number 4. All you're going to do, though, is write the sequence, the algorithm, to move forward and pick up the flowers, pick up the nectars, using that if block, just like you did in the previous puzzles. Now, I'm going to jump ahead here to activity number 12, because in activity number 12, they introduce the statement else. If at a flower, do this action, else do this action. So how do we write this? Well, this puzzle is just like what we did in numbers 4 and 5. So I'm going to tell my bee to move forward, and I'm going to tell my bee, if I'm at a flower, what's my action? Well, my action is do a get nectar. But if it's not going to be a flower, it's going to be a honeycomb. So what's the other action I want to happen? What do I do with the honeycombs? I make the honey. So now we have a case where when I run my algorithm and all the question marks are revealed, it can be either one. If it's a flower, it does a get nectar. If it's not a flower, then it's going to be a honey, so it does the make honey. Use what you now know from these couple examples to solve all of the puzzles using if-else blocks.